Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to The Lock Shop. Dusty and Huss with you here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Of course, Huss is Winnipeg Sports Talk. Coming up in about 58 minutes, we got a keyword for the EST Flyway to Vegas with FlyYEG. That'll be happening if you're listening on TuneIn or on iHeart or on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Remember, you can text us anytime at 780-218-9999. We'll be diving into the NHL slate from last night, talking some March Madness as well. The Blue Jays get no hit. Pretty busy night in the NHL tonight. So we've got lots to get to, but I'm running with some energy. I'm running with some adrenaline after the call we just had behind the scenes, Huss, working on a little poker tournament for the EST and WST crews with Coolbet, and it's exciting. I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. Huss, are you muted? I think you're muted, Huss. Tough way to start the show.
Jeez, muting. That was like the old days of WST, muting ourselves every 2 minutes. Sorry about that. Yeah, listen, that was fun. And we were just on with Patty and Jake and Andrew from Coolbet, kind of figuring out, the planning stages. Obviously, with the playoffs coming up, we're going to make sure that this happens on a night where the Jets and Oilers are not in action. But yeah, the plan is, coming into next month to get the crew together. Still working on formats and stuff. So hold the questions until we've got all the details on it. But the bottom line is that we're going to be able to get the crews from the Lock Shop, EST, WST together for what should be a hell of a fun little poker evening. And I'll be honest, I think that there's major potential for this to go beyond one or two, maybe have a little, potentially a league or a series that we've talked about, but we got to make the first one great. I think it will be. And I've already been playing poker on Coolbet quite a bit, just getting ready for.
Look at you getting ahead of the game. We haven't even announced any details, and you're already behind the scenes prepping. I like it, you greasy bastard. It's good.
Hey, there's gonna be a bounty out on my head and yours as well.
Got to protect that. Got to protect that bounty.
We need to be able to perform, to step up and make it happen. So, anyways, Lock Shoppers, stay tuned. We're gonna have some fun and fire up a little poker tourney. So right on. See, everyone's going. Spency 5 Centsy, Rod Z, where and when.
Yeah.
Hey, Joel from Northern Ontario. Hi, Huss. How's it going? It's going great, Joel. The Jets finally won a game last night.
Yes, they did.
My headspace, the angst around this city calmed a little bit after a much win. And finally, 2 weeks, I've been waiting for a single damn point to finally cash the Jets over points for the season. So that came through last night as well. That will be that'll be in the account later on and maybe put towards some poker practice. We'll see.
I was curious last night when I saw they won. I clicked on the box score because I was like, oh, that big line must have lit it up, like Huss was saying. But it was kind of everybody else last night, wasn't it, Huss?
Dude, it was Cole Perfetti.
Yeah. Like
Perfetti has sort of been 13th, 14th forward right now. I mean, after that great start to the season. And they moved the big lineup. They moved around. They split Connor and Scheifele up. So it was Velarde, Ehlers, and Scheifele. And to be honest, I mean, they weren't really carrying the game at all. I think it's going to take a little bit of time for them. I think they'd be smart to keep this together for a few more games.
I was going to say, are they going to get more time? Is that something they'll do?
Well, I mean, who knows? I mean, as I said, everyone's got their own takes on coaching and preferences and all that. But I mean, the best part about it was Kyle Connor moves down to the second line with Sean Monahan, and then Toffoli was sick. So Perfetti got a chance to get back into the top six, and you want to talk about making the most of an opportunity. He scored the first goal, scored again later on, was the first star of the game. And listen, this happens. Like young players, sometimes will be in and out of the lineup. They'll hit struggles in their first full National Hockey League season. Like I know there were some people that were really freaked out about it. I mean, you can look at all sorts of top players that went on to have great careers that early on, had some struggles at times. I mean, he really hit the wall. He hadn't had any points for over a month when he kind of began to fall out of the lineup. But for him to come back in, make that sort of an impact, first of all, personally for him, it's massive. but it also gives the coaching staff a few more options when Toffoli's able to go. Because to be honest, after that great start, Toffoli recently has been looking like he had a 25-pound bag of sand in his pants or something like that. So, anyways, it was nice. They got the win, and that was most important. What happened with the Oil last night?
Yeah, I didn't think they played a bad game. Like, they had 38 shots on goal. There was a couple of
Binnington's out of his mind right now.
Oh, but buddy, it was funny because he's been lights out against the Oilers for a while. And last night on the broadcast, they showed his home and away splits. And Binnington at home is absolutely lights out. On the road, maybe not so much, but Binnington at home bets, something to keep tabs on maybe the rest of the way in this short season that we do have left. So I didn't think the Oilers played a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. Like, they had a lot of chances. Binnington was great, and they end up letting it. They were down 2-1, managed to tie it. McDavid found Draisaitl. They tied it up, and then lost in overtime on a breakaway for Brandon Saad. Ekholm kind of misplayed a puck along the boards. Saad just come off, literally jumped over the boards, grabbed the puck, and went in on a breakaway and buried it. But not the end of the world. There really wasn't any reason to panic. There was a couple of goaltender interference reviews that Oilers fans weren't happy with because they didn't go their way. I wasn't necessarily thinking that they really got the calls wrong. But it's going to be interesting. Goaltender interference. I still don't know really what they're looking for in goaltender interference. Like, somebody said today, they said, this is not like the goals last night. That's not the reason they put the rule in. Like, there was a little bit of contact with Hyman, kind of bumped Binnington's pad as he was coming through. But then to me, it looked like Binnington sort of had a chance to reset, then went to almost open his legs to in somewhat play the puck, and Nuge poked it home, and they called it off. And then on the other side, I thought Stuart Skinner thought he got interfered with. He wanted the challenge. They challenged it, and it didn't get overturned. So Oilers fans weren't happy about that. But I thought they played a good game last night. Came away with a point. And actually, yesterday on the morning show, I did say if you want to sprinkle overtime, I think it's not a bad idea at plus 355. Yeah, and it hit. So that was kind of nice last night as well. So it's a big week for the Oil because they get Dallas tomorrow, Colorado on Friday, and then a Battle of Alberta on Saturday. So a couple of big tests here with Dallas and Colorado coming this week. Dallas has been red hot. Like, they're looking better than they have all season, aren't they?
They've won 7 in a row.
Yeah.
They are 1 point out of first place overall in the league. They've got a 3-point lead on the Avalanche, who lost last night to the Blue Jackets.
Don't even get me started.
I didn't watch a second of that game, but I did see that it was 3-0 after 2 and was wondering what the hell was going on. And I'll tell you what, this is sort of the fear. Like I told you on this program for the last little bit, the Avalanche scare the hell out of me, like more so than Dallas. But Dallas is doing it right now. And 7 games to go in the Central. Dallas has a 3-point lead. I'm not sure. I think they do have some head-to-head, probably one head-to-head game against each other. Actually, I'll pull that out right now, which definitely could be very, very much impactful. They've got, so Colorado's got Dallas at home on Sunday.
Oh, boy, that'd be a good one.
Colorado's actually, they're at Minnesota, at Edmonton, home to Dallas, home to Minnesota, home to the Jets, at Vegas, home to Edmonton in that final game.
Buddy, the Art Ross could come down to McKinnon versus McDavid head-to-head in that game.
Oh, my God. Yeah. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, that came up yesterday. We were thinking about it yesterday. I was like, holy smokes. Like, it'll be interesting to see, because what if the Oilers are sitting in second, they're done, they can't catch the Canucks, Vegas isn't going to catch them. Are you running McDavid out to try to win the Art Ross head-to-head against McKinnon, or are you giving him a day off with the playoffs, a quick turnaround? We were just kind of talking about it off the air. So I feel like he's going to be out there pushing for an Art Ross, but it'd be an interesting decision.
We need some big, big nights for McDavid before then. You do not want that going down to the final date. And the crazy thing is, like, Colorado could still absolutely be playing for something head-to-head as far as, Dallas and who wins the division. as opposed to Edmonton, who I'm pretty sure at that point are going to be locked into number 2 and know exactly where they are. You got any, if you got any lines into Knobloch, just let him know how many lock shoppers believed in his guy McDavid and have invested in it at some big numbers. We need him to finish the job. What a race this is going to be, though. No, 127 for McKinnon, 127 for Cooch, 126 for McDavid. I mean, let's go.
It's going to be a lot of fun, man. Right down the stretch. Something else to obviously keep tabs on outside of the playoff races around the National Hockey League. NHL last night. Let's just quickly hit. We talked about obviously what was going on with the two clubs in our markets. Tampa Bay losing to Detroit in Tampa 4-2. The Philadelphia Flyers, not enough players with balls to play in that type of game, according to John Tortorella.
Did you play that? You must have played the.
We went over it. We read over the quotes with Craig Button. I don't. You kind of know what you're getting in Torts, obviously from a Flyers management perspective. But I do wonder, I think I saw Bruce Boudreau had it as a talking point over on tsn.ca or something today. I watched part of that. And Filthy Bruce, who is known for a good rant once in a while as well. Even he was like, he goes, I also played for 18 years before I started coaching. And at some point, a lot of that stuff goes in one ear and out the other. And you just wonder with the Philadelphia Flyers and your coaches coming out and saying, some guys, what did he say? Some guys... What was the exact quote? Was it like too stupid? Not too stupid. It was let me find
soft.
it.
He called them soft.
He called them soft, and then he also, let me see here, because it was, I mean, he was going off on them last night. Yeah, he called them soft, and then they're just, was it not good enough? I don't know. But how many times this year have we come on here and been like, oh, Torts walked off, not talking to the media. This is who he is. This is what they're getting. But it's still, I don't know, it still kind of rubs me the wrong way. Yeah, here we are. Here's the quote. Oh. There are certain people that they just don't have a clue how to play or just don't have it in them to play in these types of situations. So, I mean, you're one of his guys. You're like, damn, that's me. That's tough. Tough one.
Well, the one cool thing was that Fedotov, I think his name is, the new goalie,
the Giant,
came in. Yeah. I was just about to say, that guy is a monster. 6'7".
I thought I saw 6'8". I thought I saw 6'8". I think he's actually an inch taller than like Ben Bishop and Mikko Koskinen. He's 6'8". They brought him in partway through the game. I did think Tort said after the game that probably wasn't fair to him. And he went to the wrong net in overtime. Did you see that? Went to the wrong net in overtime. Islanders goalie had to tap him and be like, down there. So, tough look on that front. Florida gave up 6. Matthews got 2. 70 still certainly in play with a good game or two here, Huss, I would think.
I mean, hey, you rock a pop a hattie in one of these games, and all of a sudden we'll be thinking and talking about the potential for that. I think he's good for 65 for sure.
Oh, yeah.
What a season that he has had. Everyone's been saying the Florida Panthers are the best team in the National Hockey League and all that.
Yeah, not for the last 3 weeks.
They have 2 wins in their last 9 games.
I haven't dove into it yet to see what's going on there.
No, they were playing against really good teams. I mean, they lost to the Canes, the Lightning, the Red Hot Predators, the Rangers. I mean, all of those are playoff teams. They beat Philly and then lost to the Bruins, lost to the Islanders, beat the Wings, lost to the Maple Leafs. They have not been faring well against playoff teams. And you can tell we're at this time of year because Maurice has gone full Maurice over the last couple of weeks. I mean, they clinched a playoff spot. He didn't want to talk about it because he was pissed off with the way the team was playing. And then had the infamous free quote day presser last week where write whatever you want. I'll co-sign it. Anything you want to say about this one, go for it. And maybe he's trying to take a little bit of attention off of his squad. All I know is that's still going to be a very tough team. But I think Jake and Patty had a nice jump in their step today. I mean, to have a performance like that for the Leafs with no Marner, with no Riley, against a team like Florida that they know they're going to have to go through if they're able to make anything happen in the playoffs. It was certainly a nice way to sort of get ready for when it really counts, and that's in a couple weeks.
We will dive into the NHL slate tonight, take a look at your starting goalies, give you some of our best bets for this evening in the National Hockey League. Of course, you can text us anytime, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999, with your thoughts on anything that happened in the NHL last night. You can get in here on the Lock Shop. That is where you will also text in to get into the mix for the EST Flyway to Vegas keyword coming up here in about 23 minutes as well. Elsewhere last night, we got to start with Caitlin Clark and Iowa. I made sure I put a reminder in my phone. The alarm went off at 5:15 last night. I was like, okay, LSU, Iowa, let's go. Turned it on, watched almost the entire game, and Caitlin Clark in the third quarter, just an assassin, just an absolute assassin. Like, from her range is one thing, but she's going behind the back with passes. She's going around behind the back to get around people. I mean, the vision that she had was incredible last night. That was a bigger LSU team than what they were rolling with Iowa, but it didn't matter, man. 41 points, just on a mission last night, and it was must watch. Like, the next time they play in the Final Four, she's must watch. It's that simple.
I tell you what, I think I'm officially women's hoops guy. I like the women's better than the men's.
That was the best game I'd watched so far in the Madness this year. One or the other.
Now listen, I guess, we love the massive dunks and things like that come in men's, but that's the only thing that was missing. And I think there's way more teamwork, great passing, individual plays in that game. And both of those teams are so damn good. Like, Angel Reese, she got hurt and then could not sink anything. I think after starting 6 of 8, she went like 2 of 17 on her next little while. I love that Flo J, though, on that LSU.
Yeah.
What a workhorse she is, number 4. But listen, Caitlin Clark's going to get all the attention, and frankly, she deserves it. It was amazing. And by the way, you're going to love this. So remember at the end of yesterday's show, you said you were going to go with Caitlin Clark and Iowa, and I said, okay, well, I'm going to go with LSU. I had not bet the game yet, and I threw it on, and they were doing the pre-show or whatever, and Angel Reese stuck a crown.
The crown
on the seat while Iowa was warming up, I guess just to remind them what's up. And I looked at that, I went, oh, man, don't poke the bear. I'm changing my bet to Iowa -2.5.
And you got on it and it worked.
Yeah. My biggest regret was not taking a Caitlin Clark over. I think 31.5.
I don't know how we weren't on that. When I was watching her, she had 31 in the third quarter. I was like, man, why did we not smash it? I thought it was 31.5. Was it 33.5? I think it was 31.5. And I mean,
smashed it, whatever it was.
In that game, in that spot against that team, we should have definitely been hammering the over on that one, man. So
it was a missed opportunity. So now it's Caitlin Clark against Paige Beckers, UConn versus Iowa. That's the next matchup.
Yeah, Friday. Paige, is it Euchers? Is it Paige Euchers? Is that?
I thought it was Beckers, but
anyway.
Euchers, Beckers.
That's the next matchup. Jilly G in the Nasty Chat says Caitlin versus Paige on Friday. I haven't been this excited about my basketball in years. So once again, I mean, must watch game. And she's interesting. Like, Caitlin Clark is interesting because you saw the story. You Ice Cube offered her $5 million to come play in the Big 3. So we were talking about that this morning. I said, listen, she's going to go and be the face of the WNBA. Nothing against Ice Cube's $5 million, but if Caitlin Clark has the right managers and people around her, she should be bringing in well beyond $5 million in sponsorship every single year. Like, she's going to be the face of the WNBA. But then somebody did text in and say, hey, Dusty, just so you know, Ice Cube said she could play in both. Said he'll give her $5 million to come play in the Big 3, but it's like a very brief schedule. And then go play in the WNBA. And I was like, well, that'd be interesting. Pocket $5 million. Go play some 3-on-3 for a bit. Then go play your WNBA schedule.
I mean, listen, I don't want to get into a big men, women, all that thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think there's a chance that if she goes up into the Big 3, that
they could kill some of the buzz.
Killed. Yeah.
I think if you can find a spot in 3-on-3 for a spot up shooter, she'll knock him down just as good as any of those guys. But it's a matter of finding the space, right?
That sort of thing. Like I heard a couple of former NBA players that were talking about the scenarios that they're putting forward, and they're like, she won't get a point. I mean, like just the defense of big ex-NBA guys might be an issue, but she's phenomenal. I mean, like, I just don't think, like, at a certain point, if she's going to get paid a ton of money, okay, whatever. No one's going to begrudge her from doing it. But instead of going and playing with men or doing all these other things, like, just continue your trajectory to being one of the best women basketball players on the planet, and let the hype and the adulation and the following that you have raise the tide of the WNBA moving forward. Like,
try to bring the league to another level. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in a weird spot because I think there's like 4 franchises that like do really well, and then a whole bunch of other ones that don't. Well, she's now, I believe that the Indiana Fever, if I'm remembering their name right, I'm pretty sure that they have the number 1 pick, so that's where she's going to be going to. And that's immediately already sort of changed that franchise going forward. Like, people are in on tickets. I mean, it is a big deal. And then, her star power traveling around on the road is going to be huge for a lot of these other markets. But I got to tell you, I think this is a real turning point for women's basketball because, well, we're going to find out. I was just looking to see if they've got what the ratings were for that game last night. But I can pretty much guarantee you that it is going to smash so many records. Like, certainly for women's basketball, it'll be right up there for women's sports in general. And that's like a really, really great thing moving forward that I think is like, I think they'll be able to duplicate. Like, it's not just Caitlin Clark, but her star power has got all these eyeballs on it. And I can tell you from someone that is a very casual basketball fan, that was as into a game I've been in a very, very long time watching it. And now that I know, like I said, I don't just know Caitlin Clark. I mean, we know Angel Reese. We know Flo J, Haley Van Lilf. I mean, there's a lot of players I think that are going to benefit from this additional attention. And hopefully moving forward, it's going to be, because as I say, the brand of basketball is super exciting. Like, I enjoyed that more than most other men's games that I've seen, whether it be college in the tournament or even the NBA.
I mean, the pace on that game last night was phenomenal. Like, just good basketball fundamentals. It was a really good game to watch last night. Jilly G, once again, over in the Nasty Chat says, I think a part of the women's hype comes from the growth that these stars have brought in the last 3+ years. And uniquely, the women stick around for 4, 5, sometimes 6 years. The men go pro earlier, and you lose these storylines early, which is a great point. And I think you also have to point out, it's the whole thing like when Gretzky went to L.A. and started to grow the National Hockey League down south. The WNBA has been around for 27 years. So these women on these NCAA teams grew up the entire generation having a WNBA to watch, right? Like, this is the generation that have been watching the WNBA their entire lives and have probably given them maybe a little bit more drive to be like, look at this, there's a professional league that I can go play in. And it's been that way since they were born. So I think that probably goes a long way in this talent that you're seeing now.
As it started, like, I mean, there wasn't a lot of ways to watch the WNBA.
No, not when it started.
The last 5 years, it's been better. They put the championship series on. But I mean, and Jilly makes a great point, I mean, about how long these women stay in school. Well, with NIL money now, most of these women are going to be taking a pay cut when they go to the WNBA. Like, I think the average salary is like $77,000 or something like that. Like, Caitlin Clark, Haley Van Lilf, I was reading, has, or Lilf, she's got like 3 massive big name NIL deals. I mean, the LSU girls from winning last year are absolute queens down there. I mean, they're all doing really well. So, I mean, where it is right now, I think the college level, at least as long as Caitlin Clark's there and some of these other stars we just mentioned, it might actually be They're certainly getting way more attention and way more eyeballs on the product than will the NBA. But the big thing is, can that kind of translate over when they go? And I really think it is. I mean, I think this is sort of like a watershed moment, and she's a particular athlete, but it's one thing to have one great player. It was the storylines, the history with them playing in the national championship last year and LSU winning. I mean, there's so many great things that make for awesome TV, and just sports stories around it. So it was awesome. But yeah, Paige Beckers and Caitlin Clark in the semifinal on Friday. That is going to be absolutely bananas. I'm looking at the odds right now. Iowa's 2.5-point favorites, basically exact same number as they had in the game yesterday against LSU. Minus 152 on the money line. Connecticut is plus 118. And the other game is North Carolina State Wolfpack versus South Carolina Gamecocks. South Carolina, I believe, was the number one team for most of the year. I remember they had they had that incident with LSU where there was sort of a dirty foul by one, and then one of the South Carolina girls came in and just smoked one of the LSU girls. And it was right at the end. It might have been the SEC tournament, actually. And I think there was a few players that were suspended for the start of the tournament, but obviously they made it through and they got to this point. But shout out to the Hawkeyes and shout out to Angel Reese for convincing me to change my bet yesterday and get a winner on Caitlin Clark in Iowa.
Just a quick note, just to wrap the talk here. WNBA, for those of you in Edmonton, might not be familiar, but May 5th, Rogers Place, Los Angeles Sparks, Seattle Storm. Going to be a game here next month, just over a month away. The Sparks are playing the Storm at Rogers Place on May 5th. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be good. I think it's...
And those are definitely one of some of the bigger teams.
I'm just looking. I think it's a Sunday. Is it a Sunday? Yeah, it's Sunday. It's a Sunday. I think it's a good time for kids, too. So that might be something that some of you might want to take your sons and daughters out and go watch a little WNBA preseason action at Rogers Place. Do we talk about the Blues?
Was Sue Bird on Seattle?
Oh, is that where she did? Is that where she did her damage
today? I think she did, but Skylar Diggins is on that team.
Yeah,
with her.
She was with the Storm, it says here, for 20 years.
Okay, yes, and she's kind of thought to be I think she's got all the records of everything. And then the LA Sparks.
Let me lay out Sue Bird while you look up the Sparks. 4-time WNBA champion, 13-time WNBA All-Star, 5-time first team, 3-time second team, 3-time assist leader. Was on the 10th, 15th, 20th, and 25th anniversary teams as well. And number 10 is retired by the Seattle Storm. So, yeah, I think Seattle and Los Angeles, I think they both won 4 titles. I might be wrong, but I think they both won 4 titles. So, yeah, it should be good.
You know who's on LA? Kia Nurse.
Yeah, Nurse. Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons that they're bringing LA up here. Yeah, the familiarity
is that Darnell's sister or cousin?
Kia's a sister.
Kia's the sister.
Yeah.
Sarah is the cousin.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I think that's going to be like. Do you have any idea how tickets are going for that?
I have no idea. No idea. I haven't checked into it yet myself. I know some buddies. Our glue guy here, he's got 3 daughters, and his wife played basketball, so they've got their tickets and they're ready to rock and roll. So, yeah.
Hey, we spend here. I mean, especially being dudes, and we're talking about betting and the hockey and the football. Like, it's easy if you haven't been paying attention to kind of underestimate the movement in a lot of the women's team sports, but it's happening right now. And I mean, what's happened with March Madness is the best example of it. But I will tell you what, there's all sorts, like in soccer as well, is a great example. Like, dude, I was just down in KC for the for that playoff game.
Yeah.
And coming out, we passed by a brand new stadium, the first ever women's stadium.
Oh, that's where that is. I heard about that. I didn't know it was in KC.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the incredible benevolence of one Patrick Mahomes. What can't this guy do? He and Brittany, I think, bought the team or a good portion of it. And they wanted them to have, much like Sporting KC's got their home, they've got one for the Current. They just opened it in the last couple of weeks, sold out, great response. And that sort of thing moving forward is pretty exciting, I think, for women's sports as well. And you know what? Like, part of the reason why I think that the soccer has done quite well is that the women get so much exposure in and around the Olympics. Like, that Team USA women's soccer team has been so good. They've been winning World Cups and obviously, the Olympics, those sort of things. I mean, they get like Alex Morgan, star power. I mean, Rapinoe, and I could go down that list. They kind of really established that league. And now you have more and more people following the Orlando team that Morgan's playing on or whatnot. I mean, obviously Des Scott from here in Winnipeg, she's been playing with Kansas City. So they get the big time exposure around the bigger events, but there's a lot of people that are into this 12 months a year. And as I say, it's great. It's great for all parties involved. But last night was a perfect example of the women are coming, and especially in hoops. This is it will be amazing to see if this, like, what the TV ratings are compared to the men. The men it's like appointment viewing. Everyone knows who's ever in it, going to watch it. People are seeking it out. And last night is going to break records. I can't wait to see how many people watched that game. Last year it was 9.9 million. I bet it's pushing 15 for last night's game. Oh,
man, it's really good to see when those numbers do come out. We're going to get to our NHL picks tonight. We got the Vegas keyword coming up as well. Blue Jays no hit 5 days into the season, Huss. I was watching the basketball game, and then obviously the Oilers game after. I didn't know that they were getting no hit until Jake sent us that text in the Lock Shop chat, and he's just like, Jay's about to get no hit. I was like, what's going on here? He's like, they're 4 outs away. And then sure enough, for a team that you're like, I wonder where the bats are going to be at this year. They had that great start, then a couple, and then Turner in the fourth game, he kind of shows up. They get the dub. But to get no hit 5 days into the season, that's not going to help the narrative that might already be out there about those bats, right?
Listen, I have not only stepped up and put my own hard-earned Canadian currency on it, but I've talked about it a lot. There's no way they can be as bad as they were last year hitting. And so far this year, they've been limited to 1 run twice and have now been no hit in the first 5 games of the season. Look good with all those bombs on opening day.
I know. You're like, the bats are here. The bats are back. And then it's like, nope, just kidding. So,
and here's another thing that is unfortunate for the Jays, but their timing of going up against the Astros was a disaster because the Astros got swept by the Yankees to start off the year. So they came in at 0-4 looking to get back to 500, and the Jays are that team in the way. Valdez and Berrios going tonight. And no surprise, the Astros are a pretty significant favorite.
-154 favorite for the Astros tonight against the Jays, who, if you're looking for the bounce back for the Dogs, they are +135. One more thing to get to before we slide over to these NHL picks tonight, and fire yours over if you got any trends. Rod Z, the crew, where are you guys at? What do you have for the games tonight? I know it's highly, 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 highly unlikely, but you see Farhan say that the Riders have Chase Claypool on their neg list. That came out.
I did not see that.
Yeah, that came out today. Let me just bring it up. Farhan, because there was a tweet from somebody south of the border a couple of days ago, and said that Claypool had some conversations around the Canadian Football League, possibly the BC Lions. Farhan came in and said, probably not the case. And now Farhan an hour ago tweeted out, the Riders have added Chase Claypool to their neg list over the weekend. This doesn't mean he's anywhere close to signing or coming to the CFL, but there are still NFL teams interested, and he expects him to sign a deal right before or shortly after the draft. Says the Riders have made no contact with him or his agent and aren't planning to any time soon. But they've thrown him on the neg list just in case something were coming out. With that being said, I'm not sure Claypool gets his career back on track in the NFL anytime soon, Huss.
Well, this next opportunity for him, I think, is going to be somewhat make or break.
Yeah.
Like, Pittsburgh fleeced the Bears so bad. I cannot believe they gave up a second rounder for him, and a second rounder that ended up being, if I'm not mistaken, the first pick of the second round, essentially like a first rounder. And then he talked his way out and essentially was told to beat it. They didn't want him there anymore. So he's got to prove that he can play and be a good teammate, because he's not good enough, I think, to go in and cause issues and problems. Like, you're willing to hold your nose for a certain level of receiver. Hell, who knows? Maybe the Chiefs will be without Rashee Rice for a while, and Claypool can go in and resuscitate his career with Mahomes. How about that? What an idiot!
Yeah. So what is it? I saw that he was involved in an accident. That's all I saw. I haven't seen the most recent update. I saw he got.
Have you seen the videos? Have you seen the videos?
No, I haven't seen the videos. What happened?
Well, these morons are, getting in a Ferrari and doing freaking Fast and the Furious street racing on like 4 or 5 lane highways with all other cars there.
All the other cars were just around and they're like racing. Oh, okay.
Yeah. This isn't like 2 guys on a dirt road, like out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
This is like right in Dallas, like on a massive, busy thoroughfare.
What are you thinking?
So,
like, what are you thinking in that situation? Like, there it is. I'm watching it right now.
Yeah.
My God.
So, absolute moron, which sucks because he was so good last year. He's emerged as the number 1 target for Patrick Mahomes. And now, as they get ready for the season, there's a big question as to, how long he go. I mean, he's so lucky that no one was seriously hurt.
Yeah.
But they walked away afterwards. Like, they basically ditched, which is another thing. Like, I don't know, man. You would just think, and I get it, they're young, they got a lot of money, you get the nice car, you want to do it. Those guys should just have permanent driver services.
Yeah.
And no street racing. It's not conducive to a long, prosperous
especially
NFL
in the middle of the day on a busy highway. Like, if you're gonna be an idiot at 2:00 at night on a side road somewhere that nobody cares. Like,
hey, what do you guys want to do this afternoon?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's go Fast and the Furious.
Makes no sense.
People on the highway and let's start street racing.
What a bunch of idiots. All right, let's get to your key word here. Then we'll give you our NHL best bets for the night. EST, fly away to Vegas with Fly YEG. Your chance to qualify right now. It's 2 nonstop flights, 3 nights accommodations, tickets for a Cirque show, presented by Fly YEG and the LVCVA. Nonstop flights over 50 destinations. Your sports trip starts with a nonstop flight from Fly YEG. Visit www.flyyeg.com for more. All you have to do is text this word to 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. This is a Lock Shop special right here. Today's keyword is sprinkle. Little sprinkle for the boys. Sprinkle.
Right,
SPRINKLE. SPRINKLE. Text sprinkle right now to 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Text the word sprinkle to that inbox right now, and one of you will qualify for the grand prize draw for the EST Flyaway to Vegas with Fly YEG. Today's keyword is sprinkle. Text it in right now.
Hey, before we get to these picks,
Yeah.
I meant to get back to a comment in the chat from Ron Nicole. What up, Ron? Side note of time. How do you judge over-under with the curling? I keep getting screwed on overs with games ending after 6 or 7 ends, not going the distance. I hear you, Ron. To me, that is one of the most difficult things to play. If anything, Sometimes I'll bet an under.
Yeah.
But I usually bet on who's going to win or the rock line. But even that, and that is a nuance of curling that is, I mean, listen, you sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. In the indication, like a lot of times, like in the final end, when a team, needs 3 and they've got 2 in, the minute that last rock is removed, they'll just shake hands and it'll actually be an X and a not end played. So I think there's probably more value in general on unders just because of that potential happening. But usually I'm betting straight up or sometimes on the rock line for, more mismatches. By the way, just on the curling, heck of a matchup this afternoon. Italy versus Sweden. And very rarely in the world do you have games that are this tight or this close. Italy minus 105 just had that big win against Gushu. Nicodine in Sweden minus 125. I don't mind the underdog there. A little Joel Returnas action at minus 105. I think I'm going to jump on him.
All right, NHL tonight. Let's get you your starting goaltenders in the National Hockey League tonight. Quite a few games last night, decent amount again tonight. Charlie Lindgren will start for the Washington Capitals, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen for the Buffalo Sabres. Pittsburgh and Jersey tonight. Tristan Jarry and Jake Allen are both unconfirmed at this point. The Habs will be starting Samuel Montembeault, and it looks like Anthony Stolarz would go for the Florida Panthers on the second half of a back-to-back after the Panthers lost 6-4 in Toronto. Last night, Sorokin will start for the Islanders. Mrazek unconfirmed at this point for the Hawks. Ottawa and Minnesota tonight. Korpisalo versus Marc-Andre Fleury. Both of those guys locked in for that one. Big one tonight between the Bruins and the Nashville Predators. UC Saros will start for the Preds. Linus Ullmark for the Boston Bruins. Markstrom confirmed to start for the Flames. Dostal unconfirmed at this point for the Ducks. And Vancouver and Vegas tonight. Ooh, that's going to be a good one. Can't wait to watch that one. Casey DeSmith, Logan Thompson, both unconfirmed at this point for those two teams. We already see some plays rolling in. Duck Dad says Eichel over 3.5 shots at minus 122 is instant parlay gold. And he also says, I don't mind Vetrano over 2.5 at minus 161 as well. Rod Z says he'll be sprinkling on the Blackhawks tonight. And Rod also adds an Eichel goal plus a Kadri goal. And Kachuk brothers to score, I believe. So I get your plays over in the Nasty Chat. Huss, what are you looking at this NHL slate tonight?
Well, 2 games right off the bat. Man, you just mentioned that Vegas-Vancouver game. It's gonna be big time. I really like what Vegas has done. They've played listen, the Jets could have beat them on Friday, but they didn't. Which is, I think a lot of teams have been saying that against Vegas right now with the guys that they're still missing, and Mark Stone and Thomas Hertl. They're getting really solid goaltending right now. They are at home. I think I like Vegas tonight on the money line at minus 134. And maybe I'll even put this in for the play of the day. Boston in Nashville. The Preds, after that insane 18-game run where they went 16-0-2, have given up 15 goals in their last 2 games. Now, listen, Saros is unreal. I expect him to be good, but I really do think that the Boston Bruins right now, looking at their opportunity to win the division, which is huge. I mean, finishing first in the East as opposed to second in that division and having to play the Leafs in the first round is absolutely massive. So I think Boston keeps their foot on the gas. It's basically a pick 'em. They're the slightest of favorites. So I'm going to be taking Boston outright, and then we'll see about the Vegas game, maybe putting something together. Where are you at?
Well, one of the plays that it's plus 180. Sidney Crosby over 1.5 points tonight is plus 180, and Sidney Crosby has been on an absolute tear as of late. I'm trying to bring up his game log right now because he has been. I mean, this has been automatic for this guy over the last few weeks. And at plus 180, like nowadays, with the big boys, the McKinnons, the McDavids, the Kucherovs, that number's usually like minus 120 to minus 180, depending on the opposition. Sidney Crosby's last 5 games, 4 points, 3 points, 2 points, 1 point, and 3 points last night in that game against the New York Rangers. So Sidney Crosby over 1.5 points tonight at plus 180 is a really, really nice number. Plus 180 for Sidney Crosby tonight in that Penguins-Devils game. I don't know where we could, I'd probably stay away from it. Panthers in the second half of back-to-backs, they've been struggling. They're minus 135 in regulation tonight against Montembeault and the Montreal Canadiens. The Vegas play was actually outside of Sidney Crosby. It was my favorite other play tonight at minus 134. Any take on this Ottawa-Minnesota game, Huss?
Ottawa's been playing
They've
well.
been playing better.
I mean, I'll give it to them. They won 5 in a row. I mean, the Jets really blew it on Saturday against them. I guess they've been in the Twin Cities for a few days waiting to play this game. I mean, both of these teams are in next year territory right now. I mean, it's hard to really count on too much.
Feel like you stay away from that one.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, I think there might be some value on Ottawa with the way they're playing at plus 123 right now. But again, yeah, it's sort of a stay away game. I mean, if we like Boston and like Vegas, we could throw on, I mean, if we just put in Calgary money line, what does that do for it? Plus 376. Okay. Although, you know what would be a big number? If we took Vegas, Boston, and Crosby 2 points.
Yeah, well, that'll push it. I mean, from minus 231 to get, that's the Flames money line. Let me throw Sid on here because I've got it up right now. That takes it up to plus 829. I mean, if you want to buy in on Sid continuing to remain pretty hot.
Sid.
And it's against the New Jersey Devils. The Devils aren't locking anybody down. So
No. I mean, the only worry is that they played last night. But Sid is possessed. Oh, by the way, and we're going to need to save this when, maybe next time there's a little bit less of a hockey slate for us to talk about or baseball. But you know what I'm actually really fired up about? And I'm not usually in this situation, especially if my team is in the playoffs. The World Championships. Crosby, Connor Bedard,
yeah,
we were going through the rosters of non-playoff teams, and with the 4 nations next year in the Olympics down the road, I think participating in the World Championships for the country is going to be a bit of a carrot for guys that'll really
come play for us. It'll help your cause a little bit, yeah,
for sure. But if Sid is in and can get Bedard to play, I mean, it'll be so neat. Maybe Fantilli. If Hockey Canada can get Sid there and then load it up on some of the talented younger players that aren't in the playoffs, I think it could make for a very, very fun tournament. I mean, Sid's doing. By the way, I think it's 19 seasons in a row.
Yeah,
of over a point per game. Only Gretzky.
Yeah, he secured that last night. He tied Wayne Gretzky. That is the staple of consistency with Sidney Crosby. You know what I mean? It's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive for sure. I see Northside Sandwich over in the Nasty Chat saying, guys, what about Capitals money line tonight? Caps money line plus 110 against the Buffalo Sabres. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, and Lindgren's going to start probably Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen for the Buffalo Sabres. We talked about it yesterday, Huss. Nobody wants those final 2 playoff spots in the East, right?
No.
It's kind of ugly. I would probably lean towards the Caps as the money line dog there at plus 110, but I'm just trying to stay away from those types of teams right now.
The Washington, Philly, Detroit, all of those teams, do not trust them at all. Every time you think they're going to kind of go on a bit of a run, they fall back. But the Caps are in such a great spot. I mean, they're going to probably lock down third. They've got 3 games in hand on the Philadelphia Flyers, and they're down by 1 point. Philly's lost 5 in a row. I'm not sure whether that game, though, is tonight. And, I mean, the Buffalo Sabres are just sort of middling. 5 wins, 5 losses in their last. Sometimes they play great at home. Sometimes
the
they show
entire
that
season.
spine in the backbone.
It's the whole season for the Buffalo
Other
Sabres.
time they roll down.
What's coming up on Winnipeg Sports Talk today, Huss?
Well, we'll talk lots about last night's game. Cole Perfetti's big performance. Just people will get off, just be able to exhale and relax, because if this was a 7-game losing streak going into our final WST game against Calgary on Thursday, that would have been a lot. And actually, we're going to check in with the Moose too. Went to a couple of the Moose games on the weekend. They've had completely turned their season around. They're getting ready for the playoffs. So the voice of the Moose, Dan Fink, is going to be coming on as well. So what do you think? Should we try and get a little of a different parlay today?
Well, I love the Sidney. I love the Sidney Crosby play for sure. And you like the other two. I'm totally with you on Vegas. Yeah, I like that one. I don't know if Jake's watching, but let's fire it over to the boys here.
I'll fire it over to the
fire it over to the guys. Sweet. You'll be able to find that in the exclusives page over at Coolbet, and Winnipeg Sports Talk coming up here in about 7 minutes over on the WST channel. So make sure you check that out. Huss will be talking some Texas Open tomorrow with P. Greggy.
The Texas Valero Open, last stop before us, of course, was the tournament that Corey Connors won to get his first ticket to Augusta. So we'll do that, and may as well hit the Live Miami numbers as well tomorrow on little golf by, and we'll get Patty to pop by, and then a week from now, we're going to be getting ready for the Masters. Oh, I cannot.
That's going to be amazing too. I can't wait for that. That's always one of our best shows of the year. Huss, you have a good one today, buddy. We'll talk tomorrow.
Thanks.
There you go. That's Huss. He's one of the best in the country. It's not even close. And he's got a good show coming up here, Winnipeg Sports Talk, at 1 o'clock Winnipeg time. And that's noon Edmonton time here on EST. We have two guys in goalie, myself, Cass, and Gager, recapping the Oilers' loss to the St. Louis Blues. We'll talk a little bit more about goaltender interference and things along those lines. But right now, let's get our qualifier in the lock shop today for the EST Flyaway to Vegas with Fly YEG 2 nights. Two nonstop flights, 3 nights accommodations, tickets to a Cirque show, flexible booking. Zach, who do we have?
We got Brandon.
All right, let's go to Brandon. Brandon, congratulations, man. One step closer to a trip to Vegas.
Hey, thanks, Dusty.
Yeah.
And I know it's a little late, but thank you. Thank you very much.
There we go. That's where we needed that this morning with the keyword with Elvis. That's great. Somebody finally had to step in there. That was outstanding. Who would you bring with you down to Vegas, man?
Oh, it'd be my girlfriend for sure.
Okay, all right. And have you guys been to Vegas before?
No, neither of us have, but I got a couple of degenerate buddies that are, quite frequent. So I've heard a lot of things.
All right, man. Well, you're one step closer. Good luck in the grand prize drop.
Appreciate it, Dusty.
All right, congratulations to Brandon. And hey, everybody, tell your friends about Edmonton Sports Talk. You can listen on TuneIn. You can listen on iHeart. You can listen at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Crystal clear, static-free, and overall pretty smooth operation if you're listening on any of those devices. And, of course, you can watch on YouTube, or you can listen to the podcast after the fact. We do have two guys in the goalie coming up, Cass and Gager and myself, taking you through all the biggest stories in the National Hockey League, and obviously the Oilers and Blues last night. That's all coming up. That's going to do it for the Lock Shop today. We'll be setting up some golf tomorrow. Later in the week, Huss's is his famous WrestleMania picks. We'll get into that as well. Obviously, setting up the Oilers and Stars tomorrow on the Lock Shop. That's going to do it for us. Thank you very much for joining us today here on the Lock Shop. Best of luck tonight with your bets, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.